Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? Hopefully everybody can see and hear me okay. I hope the audio is not too loud. Maybe I should crank it down just a bit. Is the audio okay or is it too loud? Because it's really spiking here on my meters. I'm using a wireless mic today because I'm gonna be moving around a bit. I guess I can turn it down a tiny bit. So somebody chime in, let me know you can see and hear me okay. Um, this was another sort of spur of the moment type live stream. I was just sitting down this afternoon while I was making lunch, and I was thinking, I got time. I can come on and do a live stream and talk about flashes because I was a little bit of an echo. Okay. Let's see. I see any reason for an echo. I'll turn it down a little bit more. So let me know. Is it okay now? Is there less echo? I mean, there's some echo in the room here because the acoustics are really bad, but um, overall it should be okay. At least clear. Um, but anyhow, like I said, I uh, I know that a lot of you guys, this is really short notice. There's probably a lot of people, not going to be here today that are going to miss out. But um, when you watch it later, you can leave some questions maybe in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. And then, of course, I'll be back on Sunday, and I can answer questions there as well. But you know, I, I do a lot of flash photography in my professional work, and I'm fairly competent with using flash. And time to time I'll get questions about Godox Flashes, and when I look at my channel, it's like I only have a few Godox Flash specific videos, and there's a lot of they have a lot of views. So there seems to be some interest in the topic, and so I just thought I'd share with you my experience using the Godox Flash system. Some of the things, like how to set up the wireless triggers, maybe do a couple of self-portraits using one or two lights, maybe an umbrella, talk about some light modifiers and just flash photography in general. This is so spontaneous and unorganized. So I apologize for that in advance, but uh, let's see. Arthur says he's not hearing any echo. And hi guys, didn't expect this one. Should be educating from the super. Oh, thanks. Audio and vision is okay. So yeah, so let me just start out. Like I said, this was so spontaneous. I didn't even have time to think about it. But I'll just start out with showing you some of my flashes. Um, this is my workhorse flash. This is my Godox 8200, and they're now selling a Pro version, which has just some very slight modifications. But the power output and the light output is exactly the same. I think they were just more physical changes. Because like on this flash here, the buttons are flush with the back. And what that prevents you from doing is like setting this down on a table like this. I mean, I do it, but other people can do this and it'll push the buttons and, change settings and things like that. So uh, they recess the back now on the 8200 Pro. So there's a slight lip here now so that when you set the flash down, it doesn't push these buttons. And, I can go through a whole day of shooting with this. I mean, it's roughly, I think it's rated for 500 full power flashes, but I don't do full power flashes 500 times a day, right? Sometimes they're half power, quarter power. So this will last me all day long. And I found that the generally the lithium ion powered type flashes are very, very good. They recharge very quickly, like less than a second, 1 or 2 seconds when they start to get low. And that's a big advantage when you're on the job, right, to save time. And it's less frustrating as an enthusiast or somebody getting in started in Flash. You sit there and you want to take a picture of your friend. You're like, hold on, it's the Flash. Just hold on, right? Um, and then my other Flash, which was my very first Godox Flash. ugh, is my Godox TT350, which I have a few videos on that go into detail about the settings and things, but I'll go over it again here because what I have not covered is using this flash to control the other Godox flashes. Because every Godox flash that's in the X series, which is most of them, come with both a receiver and a transmitter so that you don't have to buy a separate trigger. I can use this flash on camera and fire this flash off camera with this one via radio trigger. And radio triggers are generally more reliable uh, than sort of line of sight optical type trigger systems, which like the Olympus flashes, you can control from your camera the Olympus flashes. But that's an optical system. Uh, Basically, what happens is in an optical system, the main flash will flash a couple of times, virtually instant. You can't see it with the human eye really. To the receiving flash, exactly what to do. But with a radio trigger, everything is done wirelessly. So line of sight, optical type triggers, like I said, you need a line of sight, and if it's a very bright day, they're not as reliable, especially these third-party flashes like Godox. These optical triggers are just horrendous. I have found one third-party trigger that did work well. It's on one of my Yongnuos, but my older Yongnuo flashes, but I've sold them all off. Uh, the radio trigger or the optical trigger was terrible on that too. And then finally, I got this flash recently. This is a Godox AD400, and yeah, it's part of the X system, and everything can be fired wirelessly. I haven't even used this thing. I think I fired it a couple of times the first day I got it to make sure it worked, but I haven't used it at all since. But the main difference, so here's the 8200. This is about the size of like a regular full power flash. Oh, actually, I have one more flash from Godox. Let me go grab that. I should mention that I got this wrapped in saran wrap. I'm going to take this off, but none of the flashes are weather sealed. So unlike the Olympus flashes, they do have weather sealed flashes. But these are not weather sealed. So it was snowing when I used this last, so I just covered it up. But this is the Godox V1, right? And I bought actually actually these two are flash points, but they're made by Godox. But these are sold by I think it's Adorama, right? I got a really good deal on these from Adorama. Because I think this is normally like $700, this flash. And I got it for like 400 bucks, like some crazy deal. And this one is selling for, it's like a Black Friday special or something. This one sells for 270 or $80. I got it for like 140. So that's why I bought the Flashpoint. So if you're thinking about buying Godox flashes, uh, yeah, well, it's like any camera gear, right? Just wait for a big sale. You can get a killer deal. I mean, it's like once in a lifetime deal or once a year type deal on these. I've never seen a deal like that before, so I got lucky. But this one here is the round head, so the beam is a little bit tight, and it gives a the difference with this is the light doesn't quite spread as much. It gives you a nice round circle instead of sort of a squarish, and there's no bleed type streaks in the flash, which you've probably seen before. Like the flash is not quite even with the square head type flashes. Like this flash here has the square head, and I can change it, right? It comes right off and put a round head on it if I wanted to. It's like 60 bucks. But for the use that I have, I don't really need the round head flash. Uh, I do have another adapter. I'll show you. I used to use this a lot. This adapter is sort of like a Stofan filter, right? One of those little light diffusers that you put on flashes you see all the time. I got this right. Anyway, this it snaps on. Ah, my dying eyes, I can't see. There we go. And I can't see anything this close to me anymore. But you know, and it has a I have to be careful. But you buy this for about, I paid like $15. And when you buy the 8200, it comes with this bulb, and then it comes with this square head type. And with this bare bulb, they sell accessories that you can put on top like this, which works great. And this just spreads the light out, you know, everywhere. Now, I think that's pretty much my Godox system. I do have a couple of triggers. I started with this Godox X1T trigger, and I really like this trigger because it has an additional hot shoe on top. So when I put this on my camera, I don't lose the hot shoe capability. This will fire a flash. It's just a dumb trigger, but this will fire another flash on top, or you can attach other accessories like a microphone or something, like if you need to. I can't imagine a scenario where you would, but you've seen these things, right? Like this. This is my Comica mic, and so if you need to, you know, if you need it, it's there. And what I used to do is I would attach a flash on top, and then put this on top of the camera, like so. I used to do it like this, right? But since I've upgraded or purchased all Godox flashes, I don't need to do this anymore. I can just use this flash as the trigger, and you know, this becomes pointless at that, you know, at that time. But when I started out, I had you know, I have like the Nikon SB800 flash, and I have some other um, flashes that, you know, I have like 3 or 4 Nikon flashes. So this kind of came in handy when I was starting out, to be able to have a flash on camera and then have a couple of flashes off camera when I was doing my flash photography. But at this point, if you buy all Godox flashes, if you buy 2 Godox flashes at a time, like if I bought 2 TT350s, you really don't need a radio trigger separately. Because I upgraded to this radio trigger here, which just has a bigger screen and a few more buttons that makes it easier to use than the X1T. And it may offer a few more groups, but functionally they're exactly the same. And like I said, I just bought this for the larger display for my dying eyes. Not that I really needed anything more than this, but you can see the size of the screens. You know, this is probably 2.5 times the size, and it's a full dot matrix, so you can have like a 1-inch letters in here if you want for adjusting the powers and everything. And then, of course, you know, I've talked about how I have so many light stands. God knows why, but um, it's funny. I was trying to set up today to do the stream today, and I was like, "Where are all my light stands?" But I did find all but 2 of them. I know I got another pair somewhere. No idea where they went though. But I found just enough so I could maybe do some self-portraits and some demonstrations of how to use these flashes. But I'm going to go ahead and put this one aside because this is a monster flash. Um, and let me just give you an idea of kind of the power output between all of these, right? Um, this is the Godox TT350. You know, it's a very compact flash. It just uses two AA batteries. And my guess would be, you know, this is about half the power of, say, a regular full-size flash. Because a lot of full-size flashes use four triple or AA batteries, right? They have twice as many batteries, twice as much power, right, as this one. Um, just rule of thumb. And then relatively speaking, this flash, this this flash is twice as bright as the Godox ET350. This is the V1. Probably more than twice as bright, maybe 2.5 times as bright, because this is a little bit more powerful. And then this flash here is probably, you know, the 8200, probably twice as bright or 2.5 times as bright as the V1. And then finally, you know, 8200, and this is the 8400. 400 is going to be twice as bright as the 8200. And this works out nicely in the sense that you can expect this flash to be one stop brighter than this flash. And then the 8200 is going to be roughly one stop brighter than this flash. And then this will be about one stop brighter than the TT350. Um, and oh, I could probably do a nice vertical shot of this just so you can kind of compare it, because it's hard to tell when I'm holding it and going in and out, right? The actual sizes of these. I'm going to put this on, see if this will fire up or not. Oh yeah, nicely. All right, so just so you can kind of see how these line up. That out of the way. Focus. And there's the triggers. So this gives you an idea. So you can see the 8200 really is not that much bigger than a regular full-size flash. And then the Godox TT350 is quite a bit smaller than a full-size flash. And then this monster, you know, this is a monster. Just to get one more stop of light, I can't even get it in the frame. One more stop of power, you can see how much bigger this is and how much bigger the battery is. It's a lot like the our lenses, right? You want to get one more stop of light on your lens. How much bigger is that lens? It's Dang it. I'm sorry, guys. How long was that out? Unbelievable. Uh, what was the last thing I said before I cut out there? If anybody was listening at all. Let me look at the chat section. It looks like about 5 minutes ago. Uh, oh, about 2 minutes. Okay. Well, what I was trying to say is when I was buying flashes and trying to figure out the light output of the flash, the manufacturers tell you like 100 meters, this flash is good for 100 meters, this flash is good for 150 meters. Those things never made any sense to me, and I've since learned that the there's no standard in terms of telling you what the light output is. So I just look at it like this is a full size flash, this is half size flash, so this is going to be twice as powerful. And this will get you outdoors and in bright sunlight. You should be able to crush the ambient light. I mean, you're not going to crush the light of the sun, but you've heard people, doing high-speed sync or using ND filters to crush the ambient light and stuff. I'll see if I can show you an example. Uh, so here's a normal exposure with flash, but the background is pretty well illuminated, right? And and then this one here, I was able to crush the ambient light. You can see how much darker it is. Let me just put them side by side. You can see how much darker the ambient light is compared to, and how did I do it on this one? This one was done, look at the specs. Yeah, these were both at 1/1000th of a second. What did I do different? I think I just used an ND filter. I just used an ND filter on this uh, to achieve this effect, but you can achieve this via high-speed sync as well. Assuming the flash is powerful enough, and this one is powerful enough, and this kind of lighting, this was sort of middle of the day lighting, so pretty bright out, and this was able to handle it no problem. But you'll see people, they'll go out to the beach or, um, in very bright situations. That's when you have to crank out. You can probably get away with this, an 8200 in most situations. But then you have huge light modifiers and all kinds of gear going on. That's when people start buying, these humongous flashes. And like I said, this flash is only one stop brighter than this flash. So I think for the average enthusiast, don't buy big ass flashes like this. Okay, get say the 8200, and if you need more power, just raise your ISO from 200 to 400. That'll give you one more stop, and it effectively makes this flash as powerful as this flash. Just raising the ISO by one stop up to 400. Uh, I mean, clearly there's reasons you need larger flashes. You just need the light. But I think for most enthusiasts, you can kind of get by. I could almost get by with this Godox TT350 outdoors. It was really pushing its limits outdoors to do something like this. And this flash would struggle. It can do it, but it's pretty hard. So let me uh let me just take a break here and see if there's any questions. I've been jibber jabbering, but I haven't been seeing the comments other than when my mic went out. Um, I thought I saw a question. See, Arthur's here. Good to see you, Arthur. We were chit-chatting on Instagram, right? Randy's here. Good to see you. Jason Palmer, awesome. John follows. Good to see you. And you have the FL50R just in case. Yeah, for weather sealed lens from Olympus. I mean, the Olympus lens is probably nearly as powerful as this one, right? I'm not sure about the 50R, but the full size flashes from Olympus are about, are about as powerful as this one. This may be a little bit more powerful. And I could have sworn I saw a question from, yeah, from Twitch. Twitch highlights. Rob, hey, can I use the Olympus OM10 Mark III as a webcam? No, I don't think you can because you can if you get you can, well, not really. It does have HDMI out, but it doesn't have clean HDMI out as far as I know. So you have to kind of work around those settings. I don't have an EM10 Mark III to show you those settings and how to do that. But you could, but you have to buy a separate HDMI to USB adapter. Sometimes they call them HDMI capture cards, but they're not cards anymore. They're just on USB sticks. And I had one here. Uh, well, they just look like a little USB stick about this big, right? And they they convert the HDMI signal to something uh, that can be captured onto your computer. And I can do it with my EM10 Mark II, which is what I'm doing now. But the EM10 Mark III, they took away the clean HDMI out, meaning you're going to see all the icons and everything displayed when you output the HDMI to your computer. If there's a way around that, I'm not sure because I just don't have an EM10 Mark III. So the short answer is no, you really cannot use it as a webcam. And I know Olympus has a webcam software that's in beta, if you can still find it. But that only works with cameras that have tethering capability. And the EM10 Mark III does not have tethering capability either. So for the most part, the short answer is no, but there might be a workaround. I just don't have a camera to show you what that is. Usually I'm pretty clever with those things, but if I had the camera, I could try, but I don't. And music, hey, how are you? And Wolftook is here, awesome. Steve G, good to see you. Says I have the little flash that came with the EM1 Mark II. Okay, yeah, that's that little, the LM3, a little tiny flash. Uh, yeah, I got 3 of these things, I think. This flash only works with certain Olympus cameras, but it'll work with like the EM10s, the EM1s, the EM5s. I I don't think it'll work on a PL8. But the only downside, this is a great little flash, right? Because you can tilt it and rotate it just like a full-size flash. The only downside to this flash is, well, there's 2 downsides, right? It's tiny, so it's not going to give you much light. And then it also drains your battery in the camera. It draws its power from the in-camera battery. So because it doesn't have its own batteries or power source. So I used to use this as a trigger for my Godox TT350, right? Because the TT350 has an optical trigger right here. So I could do off-camera flash using this to trigger this flash. Um, and like I said, until I started buying actual triggers, radio triggers, this is how I got by doing off-camera flash by using this to fire this one. And the trick is you turn the flash output on this all the way down to 1/64th power to give it just enough, just enough light to fire and trigger the Godox, but then not so much light that it affects the overall exposure, right? And that's what I used to do a lot of until I bought the radio triggers. And John says the TT350 radio trigger is ideal for outdoor macro. Yes, definitely it makes a big difference. Macro photography, a lot of times you have to use very small apertures, right, to get that, a bigger depth of field. And when you do that, you lose a lot of light. So you add light using a flash. And using a radio trigger allows you to move the flash to any position to best illuminate the subject. Maybe, put a diffuser on here, what have you. But, I have a lot of videos, or not a lot, but I have a few videos on flower photography where I do exactly that. I use off-camera flash to illuminate the flowers. Yeah, it's been a while, Wolf Tick. That's true. You've been absolutely swamped with mountain biking season. Wow. Oh, you're welcome, Twitch. Um, okay, yes, I have ordered that, but it works. I have Camlink Lite. Right. I'm looking at Twitch highlights. Yeah, that's the best I can do for you on a live stream without having the actual camera in front of me. Uh-oh. Why did I lose I lost my chat window. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. I guess not. Do you guys not see the chat window over here? Ah, that kind of sucks. Maybe I can switch to another screen and come back. Oh, there we go. All right, so it says here, Lysippus is saying, for constant flash power setting, how does changing the F number affect the exposure? F number will darken the exposure. So if you go from f5.6 to f8, you're going to lose one stop of light. Flash or with the flash. So the flash is going to lose half its power effectively in the exposure by raising your aperture. The only thing that really affects the light output from the flash is ISO. So as you crank the ISO up, it effectively makes the flash more powerful. It brightens your exposure, just like ISO is supposed to do. So if you're going to raise your aperture, say to f8, raise your ISO by one stop also, from 200 to 400, and that should balance things out. If for some reason you need to go to a higher aperture, like in macro photography, right? You need to be at sometimes like f22 for macro, and in that case, you're killing all of the light output from the flash by raising your aperture. So your only option is to raise your ISO. That'll sort of balance things out. Okay. Um, any other questions up to this point about Flash in general? 'Cause like I said, I'm not a Flash expert, but I do have a lot of experience using Flash in my professional work. And I've gotten to know the Godox system pretty well. And I'm familiar with, the different things like a question like Lysippus asked, that's something I can answer pretty easily. Oh, I'm sorry. Jason Palmer says, hi, Rob. I'm waiting for a flash that can do bursts of 10 frames per second at max sync speeds or less for bat photography at dusk, manual focus or pre-focus, and follow the bats. Wow. Using a dot sight. Uh, the flashes do have a strobe, I forget the exact terminology, but it will fire at a certain rate. I just don't know how powerful it is. But the flash, the flash, wow, that's an interesting idea. Doing bat photography, 10 frames per second max sync speed. I mean, I'm sure there are very high-end flashes that'll do that, but not the Godox flashes that I have here. The recycle time at best is maybe a half a second. Just, 20 times 10 frames per second, give or take, right? 50 times. Um, Let me think. What would I do? The only thing I can think of is use the multi. I should look in the manual and see what they actually call it. But there is a setting. So what you do is you set your exposure for 1 second, right? Your shutter speed for 1 second. And then you can tell the flash to fire 10 times in that 1 second. But honestly, I'm not sure how much output power you have when you do that. I guess if you have a more powerful flash, you'll be okay. See if I can find the setting for you. Something I never use it, but it is here on the flash. Let me change my mode. I'm in the master. Let me turn off the radio. So you can't do it. There. Turn that off. Now I should, yeah. Okay, let me see if I can show you guys this. Oh, let me get this monster flash out of the way before I break it. I've never used it. Be ashamed to break it before I get a chance to use it. So try this maybe, right? Is I gotta turn off the green screen. Is you go into the flash, right? Darken this a little bit. See how I'm in multi? So you just change the mode. So there's TTL, there's manual mode, and then there's multi. Let me see if I can remember. I think I'm telling it to do quarter power. Yeah, so quarter power is the maximum power you can get out of this flash when you're in multi-strobic mode. So this is going to fire. Oh, let's try it. All right, so this is going to fire 2 times per second. So I think I can change this. Okay, that's the power. How do we get over to oh, see. Sometimes it's like a push and hold to get to. No, that's backlighting. Dang it. This is a tough question. I don't remember how to set this. If I change this to say 10, what happens? This is 2. Okay. Then okay, so this is the quantity, right? This will say fire the flash twice. And then this is telling you at what frequency. So that fired twice every second. So this is this says 1 hertz, but I think that's about 1 second because if I change this to this, This speeds it up to 10 hertz. I'm going to have to research this and maybe do a tutorial on it because I don't know if you can see it, but it's firing very quickly. It fires faster the higher that number is. Yeah, that was really fast. So like right now I got it at 70. Let's see if you guys can hear it on the mic. Um, it was kind of a quick pop, and then if I turn this down to, I'll turn it down to 1 kilohertz. I don't know if you could hear that. But yeah, it's a lot slower. So what you can do is use the multi-strobic feature on the flash, leave your shutter open for like 1 second, and then let the flash act like your shutter if you're shooting bats at night. I think that would work. Okay, and then Jeff Painter says Olympus focus stacking is great in as much you don't need to stop down to high f-stops. Yes. You're on overdrive this week. Yeah. You know, once my neck starts feeling better, I'm like, now I feel like, because I'm so backed up in terms of like an outlet to help everyone and do these videos and live streams. Because you remember, I used to live stream like 14 to 20 hours a week, and that's been cut down to like 4 to 6 hours a week. So now that my neck is starting to recover, I can get out and really start to, uh, live streaming and making videos. You can see I made 2 or 3 videos just this week, or in the last 5 or 6 days, anyway. Um, Shoot, who asked this question? This was from Jason Palmer. So Jason, did that make sense what I was trying to explain? I mean, I did a terrible job explaining that. But if you ever used the multi-strobic function on a flash, I think that's sort of your way around it if you have a Godox TT350 or one of the other Godox flashes. Because I guarantee you a flash that can recycle 10 frames per second just is going to be super expensive if it exists at all. All right. Any other questions about the flashes at this point? Because I'm going to show some pictures then, if not, and talk about how I use my how I use my flashes in my professional work. Okay. Go to my. Let me put the chat window up where I can see it. Okay, so let me show you. Let's see, this is a -1135. There's 4 stops, 2 stops, 2 stops, 4 stops. Okay, so here I did a bracketed exposure, right? So this is the normal exposure. And you can see right here it says plus or -1 EV. I dialed in a -1 EV for the base exposure because this window was really bright coming into the room. And then I bracketed -4 stops here, -2 stops here, and then +2 stops, and then +4 stops. All right, so here's the normal one. -4 stops, -2 stops, +2 stops, +4 stops. And then from there, I created this HDR, right? I just did the HDR function and put those in. And oh, let me turn my green screen on quick. I'm not blocking as little as possible. So this is the HDR shot, right? by blending uh, these five pictures here together. Now, once I process this, let me first explain why I do the HDR, because let me compare these two. This one here, okay, this one here on the left, you can see this says HDR here. This one here on the left is the HDR shot. This one here on the right is the normal exposure shot, and I process them both equally. And when you look at them, you're like, well, why did I need to do an HDR shot when I can achieve basically the same exposure in one shot, right? And then I'll talk about the flash here after this. But when you look at these two images, they look exactly the same. And I was using the fisheye lens. That's why it looks a little wonky. But when I punch in, you guys can see the difference in noise, right? And I already did noise reduction on both of these images, especially down here on the sofa. Let me zoom in a little more. No, not 300%, maybe 200%. Look at the difference in the noise between the HDR and the non-HDR. Especially when I go up into the corners, any kind of shaded area, like look at yeah, the sofa is the most obvious thing because it's a little bit dark. But you can see the difference in noise. So that's why I do HDRs. When you blend the images together, it reduces the noise quite a bit. But I also took a shot using my flash, right? And if you look at this shot with the flash, you're like, this is awful. It looks like you used the flash and you didn't use enough power. But there's a reason I did this. And you know, there's a reflection up here from the light bouncing off. And it's very bright over here. But this is the final image. Well, that's not the final image. Where is it? Yeah, this was the final image. This is the final image with all the post. Let me get it to render. This is the final image. This is not the, this is a little bit different. I grabbed the wrong one. Let me just go to the folder. I'll find it. PNG. All these stars off. If I flag it. Flag it. Oh, maybe I didn't use that angle. Well, this is the, apparently for the client, this is the angle I chose to use, not the other one. But we can still compare. We can still compare these images. Here's the, whoops. Here's the same room, but this one I used flash, and this is the image I delivered to the client. The big difference between the one on the left using just HDR and the one on the right blending it with flash is that the flash corrects all of the white balance issues, right? And if you look at this lamp and you look at this lamp compared to the lamp in here and the lamp over here, you can see that these are very tungsten yellowy looking, right? And then over here on the right, the lamp is still on. If I punch in, you can see the lamp is still on. I left a little bit of light lead coming out, but it corrected all of these white balance issues. So now I know that the color of the room, the color coming in from outside, everything is going to be balanced correctly now because I use flash. And This is the main reason I do bracketing in my professional work, and then I also use flash in my professional work. So the bracketing helps eliminate noise, and then the flash corrects any kind of white balance issues. Okay, so that's one example. I can show you another example. And Jason Popper says, thanks, Rob. Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was a flash, but strobe multi seems like a plan to look into. Thanks. Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad that makes sense, right? If I can, I'll try and do a tutorial on it, but I'm sure there's a tutorial online for it because I did watch one like a year ago or 2 years ago, uh, probably by Adorama, you know? I forget that guy's name that does all the tutorials for Adorama. Not Gavin Hoey, but the other guy. Uh, I think he's American. I forget his name, but yeah, he does a good tutorial on it. Not specifically for Godox Flashes, but the everything's the same. You just have to know how to do the settings. Um, but yeah, that's the other big advantage to using Flash. It corrects white balance issues, right? Especially like when you're outdoors, and you're standing in shade, and you take a picture, and sometimes the tint or the white balance looks too cool, right? So adding flash not only gives you great quality light, it balances the white balance to normal daylight. And then you can do some interesting effects with flash by doing custom white balances as well, which if I get a chance, I'll try and demonstrate today, but I do have a video on that. I can just show it to you. This is a video I don't know if everybody's seen that's watching now. I'm going to put a link to this. This is a really, really good video on Flash. This video here, let me put a link to it in the comments here. But you see how I have a gel on this flash? Let me just show you the end result. But what I was able to do is, well, this time I used an orange gel, but I can white balance myself, right, using the flash, but then I can make everything else look blue in the background. And let's get past this ad. So I'm changing, yeah, I was using an orange gel there, gibber jabbering here. But in this case, I made the background look red. Over here, I made the background look blue. And over here, I messed something up. But just changing the gels on your flash, you can do a custom white balance with that gel and then make everything else in the background and things that are out of the range or out of the reach of the flash a different color white balance. And that's a pretty cool trick. So definitely check out this video if you want to learn how to do this. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know how much practical use there is for it, but it is a lot of fun. Okay, 1 second. And Arthur says, yes, excellent video. Shot tungsten color balance and shoot warm gel flash. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I just go a step further and actually do the one-touch white balance with the flash in that video so that it's exact, right? Uh, but yeah, that was a good video. How many views did that get? 3,000. That's it? That video should get 1,000,000 views. That's a great video. Okay. Uh, we used to do it all the time in fashion at Jeff Painter. Do you remember? So Jeff Painter's, you guys know each other maybe, that you're both in fashion photography. So this is all old school to you then, right? Because I'm not really talking about anything new in terms of flash techniques and things like that. Um, except maybe the real estate stuff. You guys don't do real estate photography, right? Let me show you another picture from there. This is another one I did. Okay, so why did this one come up? This one. So this is the normal exposure, and I've processed it. You know, I did the correction and all of that. Um, and then this is the HDR exposure, right? So if I compare the HDR shot versus the regular shot, a single exposure, you really can't tell any difference. But it's when I punch in, let me make sure I got, yeah, HDR on the left, right? When I punch in, well, I did all the noise processing on this. See if I can find a spot. This is not quite as obvious. I probably put noise reduction on that. Okay, no noise reduction on that one. None on this one. Well, these look dang absolutely the same. So in this case, it's almost like I didn't need to do an HDR, because the single shot exposure was exactly the same as the HDR, right? But without flash, there are some problems here. The windows here are very, very blue. And then of course we have the tungsten lighting here and here, right? Um, so let me show you let me show you the flash shot. This is the shot I took with flash. And now you can see that these windows here with the blinds are actually gray. And that was the actual color. These were silver gray blinds in the shot, but when we look at the normal shot, they look very blue because the outside light coming in was very blue compared to the inside light, because I white balanced right here for these lights. Then I took a flash shot, and you can see it looks like a flash shot, right? I didn't point the flash straight on, I bounced it off the ceiling, but it's still, you can tell somebody used a flash when they took this shot, right? And the final image is this one. So let me compare these two. So the final image is on the left using flash, and the image on the right is the normal shot or the HDR. It doesn't matter, they look the same in this case. But you can see how the flash corrected all of the conflicting white balance issues. Because, our human eye is really good at balancing white balance, even in a really harsh environment like this. Because to the naked eye, these are going to look silver. These are going to look white. But to a camera, this is all going to look blue. These are going to look yellow. So I have to correct for that using flash. And this is one of the main reasons I use flash in my professional work. And Arthur says, we shot portraits on location and interiors balancing flash and daylight, very much like interior, all on film. You did it all on film. Wow. Wow. Oh, thank you, Arthur. Yeah, the color balance and all of that, it's basically as product photography, right? Just on a bigger scale. And you want the colors to be accurate. You want it to be representative of the property as accurately as you can. And colors kind of the biggest thing, right? There's times when I don't need to use flash, like in a bathroom, right? Let me go to this. Let me go to this folder. I'm sure there's a bathroom in this building. Uh, let me just look at the photoshops. Yeah, I didn't have to Photoshop the. Oh, here's a bathroom. So in a bathroom, you don't have any light coming in from windows. Can't see that. So, oh, when I change screens, it jumps. Like in a bathroom, right? And this is always really a lot of fun when I do bathrooms, especially when there's a common bathroom. But speaking photographically, right? Bathrooms only have really one light source, uh, and they all match. There's no like tungsten lighting mixed with fluorescent lighting mixed with LED lighting. Usually you have one light, and all the lighting in this bathroom was LED. There's no light coming in from a window. So these kind of shots I don't bother using flash. I just do HDR. So it was probably just a digital negative. Yeah, here's the final image, right? I just corrected for the fisheye effect, and I didn't have to worry about the white balance at all. But all these other shots, this HDR shot, I got a yellow light over here, then they used an LED light in here, and then you got fluorescent lighting up here, and then you got these blue walls spilling blue all over the place. And I can show you the final shot. This is the delivered image. So I got rid of this yellow and I balanced the fluorescent light. So I have to do that on every room. Some of these rooms are just a nightmare. This was a hard one. I had a really hard time with this room. Let me see what I delivered. This is the final image I delivered, I believe. Yeah, I have a flag here. Not great. I'm not proud of the work here. I mean, it looks nice and warm and inviting. Let me render it out. It does have kind of nice warm feel, so I kind of let it go because this was like a waiting room or something. But honestly, I'm not satisfied with that picture. This was another room. But anyway, those are great examples of why I use Flash in my professional work. And Jeff says we used to use gel the windows with Radom 85s to match the tungsten lamps on the interiors and movies and commercials. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's interesting though. You would gel a whole window. And I yeah, Dwight, thank you. I try. I try to make it as perfect as I can, unless you're referring to Jeff. And then Arthur said we used 10KS outside and shot tungsten balance film. Oh yeah, you used to be able to buy film like with certain white balances, right? Okay, so how about we try and do a couple of shots, right? For the benefit of those that oh well, no, what I want to do now actually show you how to set up the wireless trigger. So let me time is it 5? Let me take a 30-second break here and I will be right back. I just need to get a little water. I bet you guys can still hear me, right? Because I'm using a wireless mic. Oh, Much better. Okay. All right, so let me show you how to set up the wireless trigger. And I have to turn off the green screen again. I'm just going to turn these on. Like I was saying, if you buy two Godox flashes, you don't need to buy a radio trigger. You can just use this flash to trigger this flash, and vice versa, because they both have transmitters and receivers built in. So what I need to do is make sure that these flashes are on the same channel and group, because you can do technically you can do 5 groups, but I think this camera is limited to 3 groups on, what did I say? Groups and channels. Channels, right? Let me get my glasses so I can see. All right, so I'm wearing my glasses now. So what I'm going to do is I need to turn the radio trigger on this flash first, right? So I do that. I believe I just press and hold the sync button. And you can see this is blinking now. Hopefully you can see if I zoom in a little more. You can see there's like a little antenna blinking. And then I'll rotate the dial. Oh, too slow. Let me do it again. Press and hold the sync button. So now it's telling me M means this will be the master. So this will act as a transmitter, and I'm on channel 2. I'll just click OK. But I'll just scroll through the options just so you know. This means it's now the slave. So if I want this flash to be a receiver, then I would put it on S for slave, channel 2. And then if I don't have anything next to this blinking antenna, that means it's the radio trigger inside is turned off. So we're going to turn it on and make this the master flash. And I'm going to be on channel 2. And then I need to change. Okay, so this is now the master flash. You can see a little M up here as well. What that means is I can change the settings on this flash, not the flash that I'm going to be transmitting to. So this flash right now I have set to TTL mode with a +1 exposure compensation on the flash. I can just change that. I'm going to put this back to 0. But if I want to change the mode of the master flash, this being the master now, I can put the master flash in manual mode and then adjust the flash power in thirds of a stop. Or I can turn it off. You'll see a little icon here with a line through it. Now this flash won't fire at all. It's only going to act as a radio trigger. But I'll change the mode and we'll just put it on TTL for now. Now what I want to do is put this flash and make this as a receiver. And let's see, this is a new flash, so I'm not exactly sure. Let's see. This is a master, multi, TTL, in slave mode, group C. Give me a second. I do all these things on the fly. Yeah. All right. This, oh, I got to darken it so you can see. All right. This flash here actually changes color in the LCD. And you can swap between changing this from a master flash to a slave flash by pushing this button down here. So now this is acting as the master flash, and I can control 3 other groups of flashes. Or if I push it again, you can see it turns orange. Now this is acting as a slave flash, and it's gonna the receiver is gonna be receiving signals from the TT350. And then I'm back to just normal mode with no radio trigger. So now the flash is acting on its own, meaning it has to be attached to a camera to fire. And then I push it again. Now it's acting as a master flash, and you can see the screen is blue, and there's a little antenna here. And I can go through and control other flashes from the screen here. But we're going to put it in the slave mode. So right now it's in slave mode group A. And it says here it's on channel 2. So what I need to do is I'm going to click here. And this is group A, this is group A. Right now group A flash is turned off. So I'm going to change the mode for group A to, let's set it to manual, 1/8 power, try 1/16. So now what's going to happen is the Godox TT350 is going to tell all the flashes on channel 2, group A, to fire in manual mode at 1/16 power. And you can see actually it changed here already. See how actually, wow, that's amazing. They changed together. I never noticed that before. Because usually I don't have the flashes right next to each other. Let's see how it's changing together over here. I always learn something new when I do these tutorials myself. But okay, so let's set it to 1/16 power. And we're all set. So now I know if I fire this one, they should both go off. And they did. You don't always see that in the live stream, but they've both fired. And I'm just going to go back to, this is group B is turned off. Group C is turned off. I want to make sure I'm not firing any other flashes other than this one. Okay, so now I'm back to the master mode. This is on TTL. This one is on slave mode as a receiver at 1/16 of a second. All right. Any questions on that? Did that make sense? Oops. I keep pushing. There's so many buttons on my thing here. Forget about the green screen. All right. Any questions on that at all? Hopefully that made sense, right? So the flash, I believe, has 2 channels and up to 3 groups. So if I put all the flashes on channel 2 and I set up multiple groups, I can have the different groups of flashes fire at in different ways, right? So I do have a video on this that explains it a lot better. Let me find that one for you. Yeah, this is a really good tutorial here. Uh, this video here. Oh, ads. Hold on. In this video here, I talk a lot more about assigning channels and groups using the X1T trigger, but it's exactly the same on the flashes, right? This methodology of assigning groups A, B, and C. And then I give a little example here. I should use a whiteboard again in another tutorial. I really like doing it that way. But let me put a link to this video in the chat. Jonas is asking, how far apart do they work? I think the manual says they'll go up to 100 meters. I think in practice, I found that 10 meters is about the limit that I can reliably fire them. So I try not to do more than that if I can. And most of the time, 10 meters, 30 feet, I'm not sure what system you're on, but uh, 10 meters is pretty reliable. But usually I try to do half that, 5 or 6 meters at most. And then I have no problems, particularly because in real estate photography, I have to shoot through walls sometimes, and that cuts the range quite a bit. So I've been able to reliably fire 10 meters. Beyond that, I've noticed sometimes it misfires, to be honest. Um, no matter what the manual says, I found using the Godox TT350 or even these radio triggers. These radio triggers, I've seen people test these outside in a football field, right? And they were able to fire their flash using one of these triggers all the way across the field, but that was virtually line of sight with no obstructions, right? In real life, 1/10 of that, like 10 meters. Because the other challenge you have is these all work at 2.4 gigahertz, right? Which is a very, very crowded field in terms of frequencies. Because there's a lot of Wi-Fi going on at 2.4 gigahertz, cell phone Wi-Fi, routers, and everything. So I think a lot of the interference is also causing problems with this not performing to what the factory specs are of 100 meters. Um, so I can tell you in practice, 10 meters, you're pretty safe, but try and do less if you can. Okay. Um, come to think of it, Jeff, I think in an email you were telling me you might know Arthur. So did you guys connect since that email you sent me? I wonder. 'Cause now that you mentioned Donovan, now my brain is clicking like I think you talked about that name kind of came up in one of the emails. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just imagining. But I think you mentioned something. You might know Arthur from back in the day. All right, so that's the flash setup. I didn't see any questions on setting up the flashes so that the Godox TT350 will fire the Godox V1. So I'm going to go ahead and rearrange my camera so you can kind of watch me set this up on the camera. Put my fisheye lens on. Okay. And man, it's getting hot in this room. I was freezing my butt off just last week. I had to turn the space heater on. And this week I'm starting to sweat. I love it though. Much rather have heat than cold. These live streams are always risky, right? Because I'm just winging it. All right, let's see if you can get a good view here now. I switch to, God, look at this gut. Man, I need to start working out. All right, yeah, that looks good. Let me brighten it up a little. Okay, so I need to move this. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, we work for the same, Arthur's saying we work for the same photographers in London. We both knew Donovan back in the 80s. Although I was a full-time Clive Aerosmith, Jeff was with Terrence. See, wow. Man, you guys have so much experience. All right. Let me turn on the next camera. But bear with me while I set all these up. Okay. Do I have a video feed now? Yes. Very good. Now, if I'm really clever, what I can do is on camera 3, maybe I can do picture in picture here. Or they're not supposed to go together. Camera 4. There we go. Awesome. Now, what I want to do first, though, is I'm going to, this is my EM5 Mark III. I'm just going to put my Godox TT350 on here and point it right towards me. I got a little bench down here. I'm gonna, or yeah, stool I'm gonna sit down on. And up here in this corner, I have a light stand behind this green, well, this is a blue screen, but I have a light stand behind this blue screen that I'm going to be sitting in front of, and I'm going to put a flash over my head. Let me see if you can see that. Yeah. See it? See it up here? There's a flash stand behind here, and I'm going to put the flash on the light stand up there. Okay, so let me do that. It's easier to do when I had this down on the ground. Okay. And I'm going to point this down. I have a little ball head attached to the top here, so I can position the flash, any way I want, but I'm just going to position it down towards my stool down here. I don't need that light stand. Pull this. I'm going to pull the M5 back a little bit. Okay. Now let's see if you guys can see the M5 screen. Good. So this here, this is the M5 III screen that has the Godox TT350 attached above. I'm going to go there and eyeball. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I think I'll just sit like this and do a portrait. And I have, this is on the M5 Mark III, I have just the 12 to 32 kit lens from Panasonic. Nothing fancy. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this to ISO, just so you can see. Put this on ISO 200. Let me format this card first. I was doing all kinds of stuff today with live composite. All right, so I'm at ISO 200. I have the flash firing. Let me turn this back to 0. White balance is set to flash. Portrait mode. Let's do a normal gradation. And yeah, we'll just do JPEGs and custom timer, 4-second delay. We'll take one picture and it's going to automatically refocus when it tries to take the picture. And then I have face detect on to the left eye. That's fine. Single point. All right, so that's all the settings I need to do in camera. I mean, the important one is that we have this set to fill in so that it will fire the Godox TT350 on top. So let me go ahead and get this started. Okay, so that was a TTL shot, and that's okay, right? Uh, Everything is balanced, you know, it's exposed properly. Let's punch in. Did we nail focus? Yeah, we nailed focus. No bats in the cave. So that looks pretty good, right? But we can do something a little bit more creative. Let me look at this. Did the light see the top of my head? Um, the flash from this flash up here, right? Can you guys see me? Yeah. This flash up here is firing down on my head to give me nice little rim lighting on my head and illuminating my hair and my shoulders. See, like the back of my shoulder is also kind of slightly illuminated. That's because I have that overlight. Now the light is spilling a little bit onto the blue screen, and there's a shadow behind me. So that's going to be tricky. Um, Let me try. Basically, I'm sitting too close to the screen, but all that would do is make the shadow bigger behind me, right? Let's do something creative here. I'd like to do a black and white. And I'm sorry, I can't read the chat right now, but I'll come back and read those. Let's let's do monochrome. Yeah, low key. And I'll do an orange filter. That should, you see how the blue background gets darker with these different filters? I'm going to do orange. And when people used to do portraits in black and white, they typically use yellow, sometimes orange filters, so that the person's skin would glow a little bit relative to the rest of the scene. And I think what I'll do is, let me dial in. Well, let's see what this produces. Let's take a shot here and see. Oops. I slipped. Let me try again. All right, there we go. Oh yeah, that's not bad. I think the lighting above me is too bright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Godox TT350 and adjust the flash power as I was showing you before. I'm going to cut it down another stop. So now instead of at 1/16th power, this flash up here is now at 1/32nd power. So I cut the power in half, and let's see if that helps bring down some of the lighting and gives me a nice dark background. Yeah, I think that helped compared to the previous one, the new one. So that's not bad. Uh, you know, I'm not a portrait photographer, but I wouldn't be too unhappy with that if I were. I think that looks pretty good. But, you know, this image here with a little bit of a glow behind me is kind of nice too, right? And then this image here, if you just want kind of a black background, that has a place too, I think. So anyhow, there's a couple examples. Let me come back. Oh, trying to picture things confusing sometimes. How do I turn that off? There we go. All right. Let me go back to the chat section and see if anybody had questions. Um, Chat window. Where did the chat window go? Here it is. All right. So any questions on that little demo? I took those two pictures there. Um, Sorry, I'm just kind of going through with everyone here. No questions on that. So that was, I did a great job apparently, or you guys already know what I was doing. I guess I can talk about a couple other things because, like I said, I'm not really a portrait guy, but you know, I understand flash, and you know, I understand some very basic things about setting up lights in different places, right? But there's a lot of people they like to put the lights off to the side to get more of that whatever look, you know, when the nose has a shadow. There's all kinds of tutorials on different kinds of lighting. Usually the technique itself is very simple, right? They show you where to put the lights and everything and where to stand and, you know, how to focus and all that. But nobody tells you actually how to set up the flashes, right? With all the different buttons and stuff to push. So that's kind of what I tried to do today was just show you the buttons are very simple. There's groups and they control each other, right? Okay, there's a couple other things. Sometimes, you know, when I first got into photography, I was into all kinds of different accessories for flash. I got a whole box of crap over there. But you know, this is actually pretty useful. It narrows the beam of light. Sometimes what I do instead of using this grid, I'll use a snoot. And for a snoot, I just use these can coolers. So this can make a little bit of a difference in the image. We look back at the one I did, if I put this snoot on, I can probably, this is not big enough for that other flash. But basically you're just narrowing the beam of light. So let me do one shot using a snoot on the TT350, just so you can kind of see what you can do with just a can cooler. It's a can cooler. I just cut the bottom out like so, and then I'm going to put this on the flash. Oh, hey Marco, how you doing? Oh, there's my, I know it's a fisheye and it's hard to see, but I'm just going to put this snoot on like so and just narrow the beam of light. Let's see what kind of picture we get when I do that. Switch over to this. Oops. This camera, right? Yeah. Oh, crap. I moved it. There we go. Wow. That's really cool effect. It kind of makes my face glow compared to everything else, but it's too bright. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the power down to a negative, I don't know, 2/3 of a stop. Let's try it again. Oh, there. You can see it better. I have the green screen on, so it's hard to see. But this I can adjust directly in camera the exposure compensation of the flash. And the Godox TT will follow those instructions. Let me try one more time. Okay, it's crooked. Let me straighten it out. And I'm going to reduce it just a little bit more. So I'm going to reduce the flash power by full stop. There. That looks good. All right. That so yeah, just a very simple setup, right? Godox TT350, over here with a snoot on it. And then I'm just sitting in the chair over here, right? And just a blue screen, and then the flash is up there creating some rim lighting. And I'm not doing anything manual. I'm still in I'm still in TTL mode, right? So I just let the camera do most of the work in terms of exposure, and then I just dial in a little exposure comp on the flash. Now, something you need to know though is you can't simply dial in exposure comp for the entire exposure. It's not going to make any difference. So let me do one shot and show you what I mean. So I'm going to, let me turn off the green screen so you guys can see it. All right, so if I go in the super control panel, I don't even have to do that. If I just dial in -1 exposure comp, and I'm not going to change anything else, okay? And let me go ahead and get that started. You can see this picture, and I'll compare it to the previous one. There's virtually no difference. I'm going to really exaggerate. I'm going to dial in -3 stops of exposure comp. And I'm in P mode. I didn't realize that. But anyway, I thought I was in aperture mode. But clearly you can see, even though I dialed in -3 exposure comp, it's not any darker than the previous two. So what I'm saying is dialing in, let me try this. What if I dial in +2? Let's see what happens. Yeah, again, it didn't make any difference, right? So just be aware of that. That if you want to adjust the flash power when you're in a photo mode, you have to do it here under the flash. You can't just simply dial in exposure comp like I'm doing here for the whole exposure. So let me dial in plus, I can't see that, that's 0. If I dial in +1 exposure comp, it's going to overexpose me or blind me, one of the two. Yeah, so now I'm way overexposed. Like I said, just for demonstration purposes, and that's a proper exposure. Okay. Uh, Let me go back to my main camera. Hey, let's see. Any questions here? Magnus says, um, these last few videos really elevated your channel to a new level. Wow, thanks, Magnus. Wow, that's very kind. And I bought the Godox CT350 on the recommendation of robtrek and got great results with it. Good value for the money. Yes, I love the TT350. And John Yutze says that Marco, many thanks as well. Yeah, Marco was in a live stream yesterday with me, and we were talking about, computers, right, for photography. And the basically it's very techie conversation how to kind of hardware and gear you would need to get the best experience when you're using Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, these kinds of applications. And we made some really, Marco made some really good system recommendations. So uh, it'll be on my channel to stream with Marco. If you've been thinking about upgrading your computer, maybe buying a new computer to replace an older broken one, uh, it was a great conversation we had yesterday. So thanks again for being on the channel with me, Marco. I appreciate that. Okay, any questions about that simple photo portrait thing I did? Let me look at it myself. I didn't look at it. Yeah, that's not half bad for a studio that looks like this, right? Look at my studio. I mean, you can do pretty decent things with Flash. Um, I've used Flash in live composite as well. What I would do is I would just hold the Flash and just pop it manually. I mean, this is not the Flash, but and pop it manually to do things. If you look at, let me see if I can find that video. This is another good video for using Flash. Uh, There's a live composite video. Make this. Oh, I can't find it now. Made. If I scroll down, I'll find it. I can't believe I got almost 300 videos now. Yeah, this one. This video here, it's episode number 244. I used Flash with Live Composite. And I made this picture here. And, I show you how I do it. But see how I'm holding the TT350 there with the same snoot I'm using today? Seriously. Now watch when I pop the flash. Let me maximize this. See how I'm popping the flash here, and it should illuminate just a little bit. I'm doing a little bit on top. Excuse me. But it's another fun way to use flash when, with your Olympus camera, because not too many cameras have live comp, right? I think only Olympus does. I think maybe Panasonic may have added it now. But this episode here is really good too for flash. I'll put that in the chat there. Okay, how do I get back to this? And David Crooks is here. How you doing, David? I'm going to see you tomorrow up at Glen Echo, right? 12 o'clock. I don't think I'll do the aquarium, but I'm going to go. I'm definitely going to go everywhere else. So don't wait up for me at the aquarium. But David Crooks, I'm sure many of you know him by now, but he runs our local photography club here that I joined, and it's been the best experience I've had in photography in a long time, if not ever. It's the best thing I've ever done is join a local photo club. I really enjoy, having a schedule to go out and actually take pictures, because if I don't, I'll never go out. I'm such a hermit lately, especially since my neck has been in bad shape. I just stay at home with this neck brace on, and I lay down and I just binge on Netflix all day. So I told myself today, since I'm feeling a little better, instead of binging on Netflix, how about I just go on live and see if I can show people how to use a flash, right? Um, Lato says, yeah, I used the flash and live composite to make a photo of my M5 II. It took about 30 minutes, but the result was very good. Pic is on the robtrek forum. Oh yeah, I think I've seen that. I think I've seen it. Yeah, I saw a few photos online about with Glen Echo. It looks really cool. Glen Echo used to be like an amusement park or something. And then they're having a sculpture display or something. So I got to think about what I'm going to bring because I mean I always go with like my Pen F and a Prime or my EM5 Mark III and the 14 to 150 kit. That's kind of the do-it-all type camera, right? EM5 Mark III with a 14 to 150. Uh, but I'm thinking maybe bring my fisheye lens. It might be kind of neat at an amusement park. Um, I think I'll do that. I'll bring a fisheye and I don't know. It's terrible. You know, you should be able to just grab any one lens out of your bag. Doesn't matter what it is, a 17, 25, 75. You know, just grab any lens out of your bag and go shoot and still get good pictures, right? But when you go to a place that you've never been to before, it's just hard to for me to picture what I'm going to need or what I would prefer, I should say. But I think a good photographer would be able to give him any lens and he can go to any spot and get good pictures, right? That's kind of where I want to be one day. Uh, but I'm not. I just, you know, I get very insecure, grab a 14 to 150 and take all kinds of pictures, but then I'm not really exercising or forcing myself to really look at the scene, right? And see what pictures I can get with the lens that I have. So zooms are very convenient, you know, and I think when you're traveling and you don't have time to think about stuff, zooms are awesome. But if you're trying to grow as a photographer and really push your brain to look at a scene and find composition or find a subject or find something in the scene that makes it a good picture, you should be able to go out with any lens. You know, like just grab a 25 and go and you're fine. You don't care. You can take any lens, right? Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. What do you guys think? But has nothing to do with flash. Let me see what else can I talk about here. Uh, I didn't do anything with an umbrella, but this just makes the shadows softer, right? Spreads the light out. And this is something I use a lot. Where did my This is something I use a lot in my professional work. I just have some Velcro straps. This is a card, just some kind of plastic white card that I pulled out of a candy box, like some box of chocolates. And I cut some holes in it and put some Velcro. And and then I just attach it to my Godox 8200. So this will bounce more of the light forward in my real estate photography. And also it'll like, especially like those rooms I showed you in Lightroom. Um, Let me show you one room. Yeah, like I wish it wouldn't do that. You know, like this is a good example. The walls are blue, right? And the ceiling is white. And I need to bounce this flash. But if I bounce this flash without this white card on it, there's going to be a blue wall behind it, right? So like I said, I just have some Velcro. There's going to be a blue wall behind this flash. and it's going to throw a blue tint across the entire room. So to help avoid that or minimize that, I put this on so that the blue wall behind here will not get bounced and spread this blue tint all over this room. So, you know, they sell like flash benders and things like that, but I'm very cheap. I try to be, whenever I can be cheap, I'll be cheap. You know, if I can cut corners, I'll cut corners. But this has worked for me really well for those specific conditions because I can get enough light in this flash without this white card bouncing light forward. But by bouncing light forward, I solved two problems. I solved the problem of this color cast that could potentially happen when I use a flash in a room that has colored walls. And then uh, because it's bouncing more light forward, I can use less power, right? So I save a little battery life as well. So that's two things. That's two problems. Problem number one in a major way. Problem number two in a minor way. I might get a few more pops out of the flash at the end of the day. Another thing I do is I put a little flash hot shoe inside here. It's hard to see, but this because I have the hot shoe, like the female side of the hot shoe thing on a light stand. So I can just put this onto a light stand very quickly because this, and then I have this. I rarely use a light stand. Usually I can just hold this up over my head and get enough light because most of the time the ceiling's very low or very high. If they're very high, it doesn't matter if you have a light stand. It's not high enough. It's not tall enough, right? And if the ceilings are low, most of them are 8 or 10 feet. Usually just holding it up over my head is enough. However, uh, well, not however, but the other thing I wanted to show you is I do have a, paracord that I make these paracords. I make my own straps and stuff out of paracord. But what I do is I walk around like this. So I hold my camera and tripod or anything else I might have in my hands. So by hanging this off my neck, it frees up one of my hands. And then when I'm ready to use it, I just hold it up over my head and it pops. And like I said, this is the grid that I showed you guys earlier. What people will do is they'll put the grid on the front of the flash, basically to narrow the beam of light. Very similar to what I did with the snoot. I don't know which one works better but I rarely use this one, not because it didn't work, but because the little foam snoot that I use, the can cooler, is a lot easier to carry around. And if I lose it, who cares, right? I'll just get another one next time I go to the bank or wherever they have these things laying out, right? Let's see. It says here, Arthur says, absolutely agree with you about choosing any lens, even any camera for that matter, right? Martin says, do the Godox flashes work with the Olympus RC wireless flash menu? No, they do not. You would need your own Godox controller to control. So yeah, you would need your own radio trigger. They sell this one and this one. So if you're only going to buy one Godox flash, say the TT350 or maybe an 8200, whatever, you'll need a radio trigger. The other option, which I talked about early on in the stream, is you can buy two Godox flashes because this trigger is $69. This trigger is about $46. A Godox TT350 is only $85. So rather than buy this, you could buy a Godox TT350 and then an 8200 and use the TT350 to control the 8200 or any other Godox X system flash. So that's another option. So instead of buying a trigger, you can just buy two Godox flashes. You could buy two V1s. I don't think this one controls. I've never tried to control. This has always been the slave. Oh, this has a modeling lamp too. I forgot about that. Uh, I can change the channel, I can change the group, mode. I think this one only works as a slave. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see any way to. That's high speed sync. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this only can receive signals. It doesn't work as a transmitter. But the TT350, the the V1, and many of the other Godox Flashes work both as a transmitter and receiver. Um, Flash like this, I never use as a transmitter. So basically, if the flash will fit onto your hot shoe of your camera, it can work as a transmitter and receiver. If it does not go onto your hot shoe, most likely it's receiver only. But don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. And John Follows says, yes, I went on a photo walk 2 days ago and just went with the 17. It's good practice, force you to think more and take less. Well, that's the theory anyway, right? I know. And yeah, we were talking about it. It just seems like I should just force myself just to go out. You know, like David Tellett gave me this camera. Well, he gave me this. I bought this one, but I paid next to nothing for it. So basically, he gave me two cameras. So generous. David Tellett is so generous. Um, but you know, Trip 35, one lens, one focal length, right? 40 or whatever this is, 38 or 40 millimeters. This one has an interchangeable lens, but yeah, good luck getting other lenses for this camera. I don't really want to spend a fortune on lenses for a camera that, you know, I'm not going to use a lot, right? Uh, wow, this sucker's heavy. This is a Pen F, film Pen F. But that's how it used to be, right? You go out with one focal length. Um, okay, so we're 2 hours into it. Uh, I might end it here if there's no other questions. Hopefully you guys at least had a little fun watching me do some self-portraits because it seems like a lot of you are very competent with Flash already. Uh, but I wanted to be here for people that might have questions about the Godox system like Martin here. Uh, and I can tell you specifically it will not work with the Olympus RC. The Olympus RC is basically an optical trigger system. So you need a flash on the camera and that flash will control the other flashes, if assuming they're Olympus flashes. So the RC system only works with Olympus brand flashes that are RC compatible. I don't know if they all are. I never used the Olympus flashes myself. I've always used Godox. And in terms of, you know, everyone talks about the build quality and um, you know, because you know, you always see reviews on these flashes, right, online. I can tell you the build quality is fair. It's not any better than like Yongnuo or any other generic flashes I've ever bought. I can tell you though, my Nikon SB800, uh, let me tell you something. This The Godoxes are no Nikon SB800, and I guarantee they're no Olympus flash either. Any name brand flash, and these things are awesome. They will last forever and ever and ever and ever. I mean, how old is this SB800, man? This has got to be like 10 years old, right? Still works like the day I got it. And this Yongnuo is like a $60 flash. It's full manual. Uh, this has a single pin here, so it doesn't have any TTL compatibility. And let me grab my other flash. This thing is 280 bucks, right? This V1. And I can tell you, the V1 and the Yongnuo, the build quality is exactly the same. I don't feel any difference between these two. When I grab my Nikon, man, I know it's still plastic, but somehow it has a different feel to it and sturdiness and durability feel to it that I don't get with these Chinese flashes or wherever they're made. It doesn't say. Wherever these are made, right? Yongnuo and Godox. Um, no comparison. So the thing is though, like this Yongnuo is 60 bucks, right? These are throwaway flashes. You use them until they die, then you buy another one. These Nikons, you you'll never have to send this in for service, but if it does break down, this is the kind of flash that you would send in to get repaired rather than just simply replace. So I just wanted to put people's expectations, bring it back down to reality that when these reviewers are saying, yeah, the build quality is freaking awesome, it's not. It's not when you compare it against a brand name flash. Okay. And I seriously doubt these have the longevity of my Nikon or any Canon or Olympus flash. I seriously doubt it. I don't have enough years invested in photography to tell you for a fact, but I guarantee there's some of you here that can attest to the quality of Nikon or Canon or Olympus, like brand name flashes, not these generics, right? So I have no problem recommending these because they're cheap, relatively speaking. I mean, I know this is 280 bucks, but for everything that you're getting with it is pretty freaking awesome. With the lithium cell, it's fast. I mean, this thing takes, 7, 8 seconds to recharge sometimes because it uses 4 AA's. This thing, like 1 second, half a second, bam, bam, full pop, and it's brighter than my SB800 even. But yeah, longevity, like this battery. This uses a lithium battery. It just, I don't, I mean, it's kind of clever to kind of have it snap in like that, but I don't like this plastic ring here that, I prefer, like, I hate the Nikon. Actually, I don't like the Nikon flip lever either. I prefer just the standard, let me just screw this on so I know it's tight, right? But anyhow, like I said, it's getting late. Oh, the Mets, yeah. The Mets, as I hear, are very good. I've never bought one because they're so expensive, but I've heard they're very good. Yeah, the SB100. Pow, that's right. We'll certainly watch this on repeat as I got in late. Okay, played it. Yeah, there's some good and bad parts, like all my streams, right? I always take a risk. I've been taking more risks with my streams lately. Just uh, like I did that live stream where I showed you how I make a video. Today I thought, instead of watching Netflix, I just go live and show people my flashes. Um, so last word is I do have affiliate links below to my Amazon store for all of these flashes. So if you buy any of these flashes, I can highly recommend them, but you know for a fact that if you have any questions, you can always come onto my live stream or email me or whatever and get support on these flashes because I use them and I'm always here. So if that's not enough for you to buy a Godox flash, I don't know what is. I know I'm sounding a little cocky, but when it comes to buying products, a lot of times it's the support after the sale that makes the difference, right? It's not that this Godox flash has to be the best one on the market or the best value. It's after you buy the dang thing, are you going to get support for it on how to use it and what you can do with it, right? Um, so if you want to support the channel, you can buy these off my links down below. You can buy me a coffee. Um, I see. John Yusei says for batteries, I haven't found anything better than the envelopes. Yeah, I buy the Amazon pre-charged white. Somebody said they were made by Enelope. I don't know. They work fine for me. The not there's two types of Amazons. There's I got black ones and I got white ones. The white ones are pre-charged, extra capacity or something. They work pretty well. But I've since switched to just lithium ion type things. Except on my TT350, I use the Amazon white batteries. I think they're in there now. Um, no, I got these black ones. These black ones, these might be pre-charged as well, and they work okay. I mean, they're not bad, but I don't know what happened to all my white Amazons. I used them in something the other day. Now I can't remember what I put them in. But Antelopes is like one of those things where it's a brand name, like Nikon, Canon, Panasonic, right? I think Antelopes are made by Panasonic, aren't they? I don't know. But you buy those, you will not have any problems. And that's why brands are very protective of their brand name, especially when they've got a good reputation, right? Um, oh, David's bought IKEA batteries. Yep. Like I said, a lot of times these generic batteries are just are sometimes the same thing as the antelopes, right? Antelope makes them for, well, whoever makes antelopes will make these other brands too and sell them cheaper. But I have no way of testing AA, AAA batteries for how much charge they actually hold, how many recycle times they're going to have. Just like these, lithium batteries that come in these, because who knows, in 10 years, right? In 10 years, this flash is more than 10 years old. I can always buy more AA batteries and I'm good. In 10 years, good luck finding another lithium ion battery that fits this particular flash. If Godox is even still in business, right? So that's what I mean by these are throwaway type items. Uh, you buy them. If they work when you get them, you're good. And like I said, I mean this one I've dropped this a few times actually, and it's still working fine. So maybe that's something to say that Godox is well made. But just feel in the hand, it doesn't feel any different than this Yongnuo, which is 60 bucks, right? Now this Yongnuo for a full manual flash is pretty awesome. Use the standard 18650 rechargeables. So I know for a fact that I'll be able to buy these in 10 years. Flash probably won't be working in 10 years, but if it is, I can always get batteries for it. So any other questions before I go? I think hopefully I accomplished or you guys learned something or at least had some fun with me hanging out, right? I'll be back on Sunday. So you guys have an awesome weekend. If I don't decide to just randomly stream again, it'll be Sunday. So thanks for taking time out of your day to spend it with me. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good weekend.